Howdy, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Run from the Norm podcast, where we celebrate extraordinary individuals who are out there turning the outdoors into their personal playground, one run and one adventure at a time. I'm your host, Jake Reynolds. Today's guest epitomizes the spirit of perseverance and resilience, and while typically I would give a detailed introduction filled with teasers about the episode, this time I'm going to keep it short to let the story unfold directly from the source. Joining me is none other than Mike Shuman, owner of Shoes Idaho Running Company, and I have to say, Mike's journey is nothing short of remarkable. I had the privilege of sharing a long conversation over coffee with him a couple of months ago, which led to us sitting down for the discussion you're about to hear. It's a deeply moving chat about life, overcoming adversity, and never giving up. With the unwavering support of his wife, Kit, who he just celebrated over 46 years of marriage with, combined with the strength of his unwavering faith, Mike's experiences are truly inspiring. With that, let's get into it. It's time to run from the norm. Okay, my guest today is Mike Shuman. You might know Mike from Shoes Idaho Running Company. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time today to sit down and chat with me a little bit.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about you. This is dovetailing off of we had met for coffee, and we chatted for a good probably 3 hours or so, and I really appreciated that, getting to know you more, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to sit down and record and share that a little bit. So if you would like to start, maybe tell a little bit about where you grew up, what childhood was like for you.
Let's see. I was born in La Mesa, California.
Okay.
My dad was a tool and die man.
Oh, interesting.
And he was in the military, and he got transferred around a lot.
Okay.
Small time I was in California was like maybe 2-3 years old. And then we got transferred all the way from California to New York to Kansas, Nebraska, all the way to...
What was your favorite place out of all the spots that you lived?
I was so young and all the moving around, but the thing that I liked best was when we were traveling, we were all together.
Yeah.
And I have some cool memories about being at a hotel during Christmas. And my mom, my dad, my brother, and myself, we went across the street to eat. And during that time, my dad had disappeared, unannounced to anybody. He had gone back to the room and decorated and brought gifts in.
Oh, wow.
And everything. And then showed up, and we all ate dinner. And then we went back there, and I remember that.
Oh, wow. What a good surprise.
I think we lived in that hotel or motel for maybe 4 days. I spent my 3rd grade year in Dragerton, Utah, my 4th grade year through probably 9th grade, Green River, Utah. My dad was a tool and die man, but at this place, he worked at a missile base.
Oh, okay.
And he fired the Athena missile it would shoot from Green River and land in White Sands, New Mexico.
Holy smokes.
And they would do that, maybe twice a month to once a month.
So you settled down for a time in Utah.
Yeah. It had the Book Cliff Mountains, and it was just fun.
Mm-hmm. So you spent a lot of time outside.
I did. And then Green River had a track team.
Okay.
And I played basketball and volleyball, but really wasn't big enough. But I ran. And so I joined their track team. They had a 440, and I was one person. The school was from kindergarten to senior year.
Oh, wow.
And so it was just, everybody was in one. So my brother was 7 years older than I was from a previous marriage.
But you're all in the same school together.
All in the same school. And not very many people know this, but his nickname, everybody had a nickname. His nickname was Mouse.
And why is that?
He was...
Just pretty small?
Yeah.
And what was your nickname?
My nickname was Baby Rat.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, or Minnie Mouse. Not according to Disney, but I was Baby Rat.
And why did you have that nickname?
Because I was his younger brother.
Okay.
Anyway, I ran. He played football. I ran, and I wasn't very good, but I was...
You were out there getting it done.
I was getting it done.
What was it about track that you enjoyed?
right now is nothing.
You're just doing it.
Yeah, I was just doing it. But right now, I would much rather run cross country than track. With a track, you can only see a Indy lion so many times when you're going around it.
Yeah.
But when you're cross country,
might look a little bit different even if you go and run the same.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to align with that. I love getting out, running trails, seeing some different areas.
Yeah, I do too. But a lot of my friends are track guys. I was just never one of them. But the 440 was what it was 440 back then. And I went to state. But by the time everybody finished and they had showered and everything, I was just now finishing. So I was third in state, but only because there was only 3 people in the
That's all right. We can stop at the third in state. Yeah, got third in state. It was a great outing.
Yeah.
Just enjoyed being outside, though.
I did. And then my mom and dad got a divorce, and I moved to Ogden.
And how old were you when they separated? I'm a child of divorce myself, so I know it can be pretty difficult.
I was in 9th grade.
Okay, so you're still pretty young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I backed off a little bit.
Backed off of track.
Yeah, I wasn't really sold on the...
You just weren't enjoying it?
No, I wasn't enjoying the family life, really what it was. And you really didn't have any backing. So I went to Ogden, and my mom and I didn't get along. I got kicked out of my house.
Yeah, you'd said at 16.
Yeah. And at the time, I was babysitting. I only had to go to school until noon. So I would babysit for a lady who worked at Clearfield Air Force and watched her child, and then cooked at a steakhouse at night.
So you're 16 and you're going to school through the first part of the day, you're babysitting in the afternoon, and then you're working in the steakhouse at night, just trying to, at 16, make ends meet, keep food on your table.
Right.
Oh, wow.
I lived in a basement apartment, 1 room.
What are you thinking at 16 years old when you're out on your own like that? What's your headspace? Are you thinking about how you're going to move yourself to the next thing? Are you stuck in a difficult mindset where I'm 16, this isn't fair? How do you put yourself in the space to keep yourself moving forward and do all these things that are basically the responsibilities of an adult?
One day at a time.
Great advice.
I had some great teachers at Ogden. The woman that I babysit for was wonderful. And
so you were surrounded by some support.
Yeah. And the steakhouse, I didn't cook there all the time, went from dishwasher to busboy to seating people to a pitman, then to cook, all in about 5 years. And I'd worked for this gentleman for a long time. And he knew that I didn't get out of school until 12:31. So I would go right from there to where he was and cooked at his steakhouse, and then would get off at, probably about 11:30, 12, and then get home, and then...
Did you have a day off, or what were you doing on the weekends?
I was cooking on Saturdays. Sundays, he was closed.
So you did have a day off. What would you do for fun?
We used to go up to the mountains.
Okay.
And I never really appreciated it. Probably didn't have the time.
Yeah.
Just outside of Ogden.
Yeah, the mountains around there are beautiful. Yeah.
Then after about 4.5, 5 years, I would always ask for a raise. And sometimes he would do it, and sometimes he not. Got to about a 3-year period, and he wasn't giving them anymore. And so I asked him, I said, do you think I could get a raise?
You're doing about everything in the entire place.
I'm going to be graduating. And he said, let me think about it. And I said, okay. So I had a 1959 Chevy Suburban that I had fixed up, taken the big long seats out.
And those things are cool.
And put 2 beanbag chairs in it, had a CB radio in it, and then had a Craig Power Plate 8-track.
Nice.
And I thought, I'm going to check out Idaho. And so drove up here.
And this was for a work opportunity? Or this is just, you thought, I want to go see what it looks like.
Yeah. I had 2-3 days off. So I drove it up, and it wasn't fabulous, but it was transportation.
It's got space. I'm an old car person, so you talk 59 Suburban. Those things are cool.
So I came up here and stayed up at Lucky Peak.
So you're just sleeping in the Suburban?
Yeah. One night I was on the CB, and the first lady, I'm going to be wrong when I say it was like 1976.
First lady of Idaho?
No, of the president.
Oh, wow.
and she was on the CB, and she was talking to people around him. And I can't remember whether it was Carter or Reagan, but I got to chat with her, and it was cool.
Oh, absolutely. So you're up at Lucky Peak, hanging out on your beanbags, and on your CB, you're talking to the First Lady in this chat. Wow.
I come downtown, and I'm driving around, and I go to 8th and Idaho, and there at 8th and Idaho was a Skaggs drugstore and sporting goods. It was right on the corner, and on the one side you had the drugstore, and on the other side you had the sporting goods. And the manager sat in a crow's nest up on top.
Okay.
And the receiving was downstairs, and I went in and asked him for a job.
Just like that.
Yeah, and I was parked in the loading dock, and everything went down a chute. And so I parked there.
Oh, in a Suburban, for all they know, you're bringing stock.
And I put a little sign on my car, and it said, loading and unloading freight.
That's awesome. I think that's something I would do too. That's great.
So I went up, and his name was Jim Dixon. And I went in and I said, I'm here in Boise just looking for a job. He says, fill out this paperwork, and gave me an application. I filled it out. So then I drove back home to Ogden, and 3 days later he called me. He said, I have an opening. Would you like it?
Wow, interesting.
And I said, let me check on some things. So I went back to the steakhouse, and I said, if it's possible to get a raise, because I really loved cooking. I really did.
Do you cook still?
No. No.
Back in the time.
Yeah, back in the time. But he said, let me think about it. And I said, why don't you think about this? I'm giving you my 2 weeks notice.
How'd he take it?
He said, you'll come around. Yeah, maybe I will.
Interesting.
So my time came, and I said, you can mail my check to my place here, or I can come and pick it up. But today's my last day.
Did he seem sad to see you go?
No.
Really? After everything you'd done and how long you'd been there?
Yeah, but he did after about 3 weeks.
Everything starts setting in.
Yeah, but it's done then.
Yeah. Yep, he doesn't have you there doing everything.
So I moved up here to Boise in 1978. No, 77. And
it was all just a whim. You drove up here, hung out, and you saw a spot and figured you'd walk in and ask for a job. What made you decide, I think I want to live here? Was it just to see what happened?
I would love to say it was the people, but you don't see a lot of people.
Up at Lucky Peak.
But the guy that hired me was just a gem. He was an older guy. And his staff was great. 2 of them were dorks to me. But,
not real nice.
But all those people in that little shop had me grow up fast.
I bet. And so you've just graduated high school then, you said? So what, you're 18, 19?
17.
Oh, you graduated at 17. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 17, so you're still a kid for all intents and purposes, and you're doing all these grown-up things and put in these situations where it's forcing you to mature fast.
It was. But back in the day when I was here, I parked in the same place, put that sign up there, unloading and unloading freight. And then,
did you just handwrite it on a piece of paper? I love it.
And then where the jump is, downtown is now, it was a parking lot. And so I was able to park there. But back then, there was the post office, and across the street from the post office was a Chevron. And so I would drive down from Lucky Peak, park there, and do a bird bath type thing.
That's incredible. How long did you do that?
For about 5 weeks.
Really?
Yeah. And then my mom remarried, and her husband and I hooked up a little bit, and he introduced me to some relatives of his up here.
Okay.
And
so your mom's still down in Ogden?
Yeah.
Okay.
And my stepdad, I guess if you would call him Cecil, he hooked me up with his mom and his mom's sister, and I was able to sleep with them. That sounds well.
You're able to stay
downstairs in their basement on Residue. It was called 1009 Residue.
That's crazy you still remember that, too.
My truck could park there, and I could walk down at that point. Then got married, met a girl. Holy cow.
Where did you meet your wife?
I met her. She worked at Skaggs too, but she worked Fairview.
Okay.
Fairview and Cole.
And so you met through work?
Yeah.
Okay.
I worked at the one downtown. She worked at the one, and she'd graduated from high school, and she went a semester in Hawaii. And when she came back, she was
tan. And,
oh, man.
And I've met Kit briefly. She seems like a very sweet woman. Now, what was it about her that stood out so much? Obviously, she just captured your attention.
Oh, yeah, 45 years worth.
Just a ray of sunshine.
Right, yeah, she was. And my boss said, stay away from him.
Oh, they're warning her about you. Oh, geez.
He's
trouble.
He is trouble.
Well, I can only imagine 17 years old and you're exposed to life. Most kids aren't at that point.
And I think I'm 18 at that point.
18.
And she just came back and she was working there. And I asked her out. And so we went out. And I remember I had my whole saying laid out. I was going to ask her if she believed in kissing on the first date. If she said no, I was going to step out of the car and step back in and say, consider this our second date. But she didn't give me the chance.
Oh, you didn't have to get out.
No.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
And you said 45 years, 46 years?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. She's put up with a lot of crap.
It takes an amazing woman to, I think, bring out the better qualities of us sometimes.
Yeah.
And speaking from experience as well.
And she's put up with a lot of crap.
It's only made you stronger and tied you closer together.
As of late, too. But played basketball here at a church. And one of my best friends was Jim Love.
Jim Love, that's what I was looking for. I wanted to ask you about Jim Love. Tell us about Jim Love.
Jim is a black man, but was my best friend. Yeah, he was just amazing. I met him in Pocatello, and he came up to Boise. Then Kit and I got married. I knew him before, but he never came up to meet Kit until after we were married. But then 2 weeks after we got married, Skaggs moved me to Provo.
Oh, okay.
So we weren't even married a year.
And you got to relocate.
Yeah.
So you're coming back down to the greater Salt Lake, Provo, Ogden Valley, so it's almost like coming back home.
Right. And they moved me to Provo. Skaggs' main office was in Salt Lake.
Oh, okay.
And I went there to take the lie detector test and got my first position, and then was in Provo for, 7 months, 8 months. And they were even putting my wife through school, but she didn't do really well at BYU. The next place we moved 7 months later was to Rock Springs, Wyoming.
And this is still with Skaggs.
Yeah.
And did you say that they had you take a lie detector test for your employment?
Yeah.
Interesting. And what was that for?
Just make sure I wasn't stealing anything in the past, and I hadn't.
So they're doing a thorough background check.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, okay.
And they even called the old restaurant. And
checked all your references.
Right. And so I'm in Provo. Then they moved me to Rock Springs.
How'd you like that?
Oh, it was wild.
Oh, really?
It was right during the oil boom.
Oh, okay.
And holy cow, it was
just madness.
Madness. And we celebrated a first year being married at the Holiday Inn there.
Man.
And they really did a good job for us. And I was at Skaggs there. And then I was there, I think, a year and a half. And then they moved us to, I want to say it was Idaho Falls.
Sounds like a little bit of a change going from the craziness of oil boom to...
But the neat thing about Rock Springs is we were there so long and met so many key people. They gave us a German Shepherd.
Okay.
His name was Toko, after the ski wax. My wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a little bit about Kit. She can ski.
Really?
Oh, my God. Yeah.
So she probably enjoyed it when you went back down to the valley, the Salt Lake Valley.
Yeah. And she worked for Sunset Sports, which was sporting goods.
Now, are they a competitor to Skaggs?
More skiing.
Okay.
And
so it wasn't
running.
like a direct competition thing.
Kit went to work for Sunsets there in Rock Springs. And then we'll just get to Idaho Falls. And I wasn't there that long. And then they moved me to Pocatello.
So you're really testing a new marriage right out of the gate, because if you're moving around like that.
And during the period of time that we were moving, we had a trailer. They would move the trailer for us. So everything was just like...
pack and go.
Yeah. And
were you expecting to move around that much?
No, I had not. And then they moved me to Pocatello from Idaho Falls. And then I was assistant manager there. I was a youngest assistant Skaggs had at the time.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was going to ask you what the career trajectory was.
I went from receiving manager to assistant general.
Okay.
And then you were usually assistant generals like in 2 or 3 places, but I think I was assistant in Pocatello. And then that's where Jimmy came into play. And Jimmy went to school at Pocatello High.
Just hit it off instantly.
Yeah, we played basketball. Holy cow. And they would call us like Oreo cookies. I think I was 6 foot and he was 5'9", but he could jump.
He could play, huh?
Oh man, he could play. Matter of fact, when I came back here to Boise, we would play a lot. But I hired him, and then he started moving around too.
So you met outside of work, and then you brought him on staff. Okay.
And we worked really well together too. And then Mr. Skaggs, who had a farm in Declo, right outside of Burley, he transferred me to Burley. And he transferred me there because he didn't like when somebody comes into the store to buy something, it was his ranch, the ranch would come in and completely buy out a 28-foot table of GE light bulbs.
Okay.
And
they're wiping out your stock in one swoop.
Right. And he expected the store to always have product, even if they did that. So apparently the assistant general ran into that problem. So he moved me from Pocatello to Burley.
Basically sounds like he said, solve this problem.
Yeah. And so what happened is I found out what he came in and got. For his wife, it was Red Hot Red Revlon lipstick. For him, it was aftershave, and it escapes my memory right now. But my wife, she's just going right along with me, and still no children.
So what is it that you're thinking at this point of getting these things that they really like? What's the thought process behind that?
If I keep him happy and we can stick around a little bit, up until Burley, I'd moved 7 times in 3 years.
Oh my gosh. So you're never able to really settle.
And
so you're thinking if I establish this relationship and I can maybe settle down roots here with my wife and start raising a family or whatever. That's pretty smart.
And every Christmas, and I was there 4 Christmases, he would bring us a pig from his ranch. And we had that for Christmas. His ranch, he took us out there one time, and these acres would just fly up with pheasant. And where'd all these pheasant come from? He says, I raised them.
Oh.
And his ranch, this place where he would raise the pheasant, he named it Genesis. And it was so ironic to see that. So anyway, I'm there, and then Kit gets pregnant, and Ben is born. I get reunited with my dad again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which he was living in Tennessee at the time. And
what was the catalyst to reconnecting there?
I had his mom's, my grandmother's phone number, and it was Easter. And I just...
You just wanted to reconnect?
Yeah. And it had been 16 years since I'd seen him.
Oh, my gosh. How difficult was that?
Oh, and some of the things your folks will tell you when they're separated. That's a whole
nother angle to a discussion.
Is,
I can only imagine.
But Ben was due on the 22nd of December, and my dad flew in. And so I drove up here, picked him up at the airport, and we drove back.
How was that conversation? You haven't seen him in 16 years, and now you're face-to-face on this, on a long drive. It could be either very awkwardly quiet, or maybe you had an amazing conversation?
No, we had an amazing conversation. We took care of a lot of that several times.
Yeah.
Once we connected, there was not a day or a week that he would not call me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty
I can only imagine that just changes your outlook on things.
Oh, totally. My dad stayed here until the 3rd, I think, of January, and still no Ben.
Oh.
He's late.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And so he flies back because he has to get back.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, true story. I got to tell this.
Sure.
I'm working Christmas time at Skaggs, and my dad had come to be with us when Ben was born. And he was a big guy. He was 6'4", maybe 300 pounds, and he ate. And
one of my favorite things, put food in front of me. I like to eat.
And he would come down and visit me on my lunch hour.
And you're still in Burley.
Yeah. And he would buy a box of chocolates. When I got home, it was always gone. Next day, he would come to the store, buy another box of chocolates. And when I'd get home, it was gone. And so I'm going, Dad. He comes about the 4th or 5th day, and he buys, Whitman's had these 5 10-pound boxes of chocolates. And they're like 3 layers, 4 layers. And I said, Dad, slow down. He said, no, I got a plan for this box. So I get home. You have any candy left now? Let me tell you about my plan. Okay, tell me. He says, I decided I'd make a book cover.
A book cover?
Yeah. And he made this box of chocolates into a book. And I said, why did you do that? He said, I decided I wasn't going to read the whole thing, so I would just get a book cover and disguise it. Dad. Yeah, but I got to tell you, Mike, I read the whole damn thing.
That's awesome.
And
that's so funny.
That was the kind of guy he was.
What's your favorite quality about your dad? Now that you've got to know him over all these years, what's the most amazing thing about your dad?
He never limited me.
I love that. Sky's the limit.
Yeah. I did Boston for the first time in 91. He was so proud of me that I was there. And
so he came out to see you and support you?
No, but he wrote about me in his paper back in Tennessee. And I did really well.
But the fact you finished the race, so accomplished the goal.
Yeah, it was just...
he was so proud of you for it.
But how I got back into running was in Burley.
So you had basically quit running. You said you didn't really enjoy it when you were younger anyway.
I didn't like the track. I loved the cross country, but I didn't like the track. And so we get to Burley.
What makes you decide to start running again at that point? You said you were 32 or so?
Yeah. My wife and I took Ben to a hot pool, and we got in a tiff. And she said, let's go home. I said, no, you go home. I'll run. And
just need to vent some steam.
Yeah. And I ran. It was a long ways.
Oh, I bet.
But I ran home, and I can't remember if it was for Christmas or Father's Day or something, my birthday, but she got me a pair, and she still worked at Sunset Sport. She got me a pair of New Balance running shoes.
And this is after you've done this run back from the hots. Okay. Was there something about that run that made you decide you were going to, it's a good outlet. I felt better when I was done.
Yeah, it was just time to think. And I got those shoes, and I ran 2 miles for starters, and then 4 miles. Through issues with Skaggs, I still kept running, but they had bought a group of stores, and I think they were called Payless. And the headquarters split from Salt Lake, and then the other one was in Chicago.
Oh, wow. Payless isn't a small chain.
And I can't remember how many Skaggs stores were. I think maybe 3. But there were, I think, 3 Paylesses here, too. So when he bought them, they all came under one, but they were under the Payless name.
He combined them and kept it under Payless. Yeah. Okay.
Payless and Skaggs, they weren't friends. I mean, the companies weren't. They were, what do you call it? They wanted each other's
They're competitors, yeah.
And then they started to move Skaggs people in with the Payless people. And it didn't go really well. And I was in Burley still. And then he moved me here to help
figure things out.
Yeah.
Are you still an assistant manager at this point? Okay.
Yeah. And I was assistant with a manager that was a Payless guy.
Oh, okay. Did you see eye to eye?
No.
Oh.
But it was different then. I ran every chance that I got, but you were not an hourly employee. You were salary. And salary could be anything from 60 to 70 to 80 hours a week.
Oh, my gosh.
And now it's a bit different. And
but you're basically living your work.
And then they moved me around again. So I've been to the East Gate, and I'd been to the Vista East Gate, and then they moved me from Eastgate to downtown store on 16th and worked there.
And you're just trying to make everybody play nice?
I'm working.
So you're just doing a good job and you're getting recognized for the
Right.
efforts now at this point.
So then I was at Eastgate, and then a store became open on Curtis and Overland. Maybe that's Overland. There's Fred Meyer's there now.
Okay, yeah.
And I had the store there, and I thought, wow, finally.
Did you have a plan, like a trajectory that you're aiming towards? Or are you just working and seeing
Just
where
working,
it goes?
Yeah.
And so you have Ben now too.
And then my daughter is born when we're moved back here.
And you're working 80 hours a week.
Yeah. And my wife is going to school
Oh my gosh.
and going back to school. And I don't know how she did it, but she did. And she would take, I think, 16, 17, 18 credits.
Oh my gosh.
And she'd be up at night, and she just,
Is she still working at Sunset?
part-time.
Okay.
And then she's still going to school, she's incredible.
Sounds like it.
And she's graduated, and now I've got the store, and my daughter's sick. At the store that I'm at now, I didn't feel it was right to take the assistants and the other management team and work them that many hours. So I made it to where they would maybe work the most 45 hours.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's very generous. Not many people in a management position would be taking on that responsibility like that.
I felt that there's going to be a time that I need them, and I won't have to ask.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And I didn't have to. I had a great staff. But this one time, my wife was teaching at this point. My boy is in school, and my daughter's sick. And I was running on my lunch hours. And a couple of the guys will remember these names, but Dan Shrilla and Terry Hobelheindrich, we would meet over by this small gym at our lunch hour and get down there and run. And we would run during the weekend too. And I had this DM that would come and visit me. This one time, I had my daughter.
Are you not allowed to have them there?
Probably not at work, but she was sick, and I'm a dad. And Scott Colani, who was security for this area, we would get these emails, and we would know when the DM was coming.
You can prepare.
Yeah. And so I would always be gone at 12:30, 12. I'd run from the store down to meet with those guys, and we'd run and then come back. This one day, she said, I'm going to be at your store. And I said, I'm going to be gone for a lunch.
Give you some leeway here.
So I'm going to just let you know. And the manager that I had at Eastgate ran. And so I got to run out there too.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was awesome. It was a great group, but we don't always see eye to eye with everybody. And so he said, I'm going to be at your store at 12:30. And I said, I'll miss you.
When you ask him not to.
Yeah, I said, I'm going to be gone. He said, oh, you'll be there. So he was walking in. I was walking out. And he said, where are you going? I said, well, my lunch hour. I'm going to go run, and I'll be back. I was, and he was just leaving. He said, I left you a list of things to do. I said, okay. And then we would do them. Now, keep in mind, at the time I had that store, I wanted to make sure that I could run. So I planned every week we would get a warehouse truck. And I made sure that I was always the first stop for him. So we would get there at 4 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
And we would unload the truck. And then I would bring in a crew, and we would do the freight.
So it's your store staff that unloads the truck and everything. Oh my gosh. Okay.
And I would have, I think, 5 to 8 people put the freight away. And then a lot of times I would be the first cashier so they could go home.
Get some rest.
And get some rest. My Alan Baldwin, who still lives here, was my sporting goods guy. And he took care of the guns. And he was a man, he put up with a lot of crap, a lot of people too. But yeah.
And he's on your staff?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's a great kid, runs here now. And he was a weightlifter. And one particular day, my daughter's sick, and she is at the store with me. So I can work. And my bookkeeper, Barb, was a doll too. I was just keeping an eye on her while
She would
was
help you
there.
out. Yeah.
And got word that the DM was coming. His main office was on Fairview and 5 Mile. He would just visit all the stores and then go to some other stores like in Bend and Baker. And
just hit all the local stuff first.
I saw him walk in the front door.
And did you know he was coming on this day? Did he email out? Mm-hmm.
So I went down and he was coming up. We passed each other. My daughter and I, while she was away, we were having a tea party.
Okay.
And he went upstairs and I went down and passed him and looked up and saw Barb. She was
trying to keep
get him away from him. And so I went beelining back up the stairs.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And he goes, "Who are you?" "I'm Sarah. Do you want to have a tea party?" And he goes, "You're having a tea party?" I said, "Yeah, you want to join us?" He says, "No, but I have a list for you to do." "Well,
oh my
gosh. Get it done." But not today.
Was he friendly? Did he interact?
Yeah.
But he was obviously taken a little off guard. Wasn't sure how to approach this.
Yeah, he wasn't happy.
Gives you your list.
Yeah. But anyway, at that point, at that store too, I was putting on an event for Payless.
It's for the store? You're putting on an event for the store?
For the surrounding stores.
Okay.
It's a run. It's a run, walk, and roll.
Interesting. Had you done anything like this in the past?
No.
So you thought, well, I'm going to do a fun run?
It was called the Lavoie Run.
Oh, okay.
And we did it here for 8 years.
I never ran the race, but I actually had a shirt from that race that I wore for the longest time.
We gave away big prizes, and you didn't need to win. You just needed to run.
Oh, that's cool.
And so we would get everybody's number at the bottom of it.
Gives everyone a chance.
And put it in this thing. And we gave away like 10 mountain bikes.
That's cool.
We gave away a pontoon boat. The last year, we gave away a car.
Holy Jiminy Christmas.
We would spend the weekend going to places and asking. And
so most of this is donation?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wow. Everything was. And a lot of the times, you would get callous to being told no. But what if they said yes? The bikes all came from either Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola, whoever were sponsoring it. And
you even gave away a car?
Yeah, we gave away a car the last year. The first year we gave away trips to Victoria, British Columbia, because there was across from the store a travel place.
Okay. How did you figure all this out? Had you put something like this together before?
No.
How did you know what to do?
We would do things. My wife was volunteering for Greyhounds, and she was a Greyhound president of America for the Northwest.
Oh, gosh. Oh, Greyhound dogs.
Dogs, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And many people here in town had dogs from kit. To get a Greyhound, you have to have a fenced backyard.
Yeah.
They're a sight dog, and you need to understand that. And they can go very fast for a very short amount of time, but it's fast.
My dad and my stepmom, they have Greyhounds. It was a rescue, and those dogs are amazing.
And I think I told you this once, their birth date is in their ear.
Oh, okay. Maybe you did. I didn't remember that.
You can tell when they're born is in their ear, the date. And like the dogs that we have was E.F. Colin Powell, he was born around that time period. And then Airy Day. And both great dogs, both died of cancer, but I got them up to 12 miles.
Wow.
14 miles. But yeah.
Yeah, beautiful to watch them run.
Yeah. But anyway, then talk about going a rabbit trail.
That's the joys of these conversations, is it's just wherever the conversation ends up. But you were talking about the fun run that you'd done, the Lavoie run.
And then to help Kid out with it, I got Greyhound Bus to bring in a bus.
An actual bus.
A bus into the parking lot of where my store was and show the dogs. And
very cool.
Yeah. And so you don't just give the dogs to anybody. They've got to have the right,
You have to vet the owner. Yeah.
And so that was cool. And then the other thing that I did, and probably geared up to it, I remember when I was in high school, I had this guy who was a teacher, a science teacher, and he had an ugly egg contest. And he got it, and you would package this egg any way you could, and he would drop it out of a plane or a helicopter. And this was in Ogden. And when it landed, it couldn't break. And if it didn't break, you won things. At the store here, we did something similar to that. We had an ugly egg contest or an egg decorating contest, and we had it dropped from a
fire, like a ladder truck.
And at the time my store was there, across the street was an elementary school.
Oh, geez. I loved it.
Oh, yeah. We gave away prizes, and anybody that their egg didn't break got a bike helmet.
How cool.
So we had fun things like that. And then into the place, I think it was 1993, Skaggs put together, or Payless put together a Hood to Coast team.
And are you a manager at this point now?
I was assistant on Vista.
I actually remember that store.
And Skaggs, it's a Rite Aid now.
Yeah.
Skaggs flew in all of us into Portland, and we
go run Hood to Coast?
Yeah.
How cool.
And we were a good team. Matter of fact, that year we finished third for the teams.
Oh, geez. That's not easy competition.
No, the teams that beat us were Nike and Reebok.
Oh, my gosh.
And
so you had a pretty dang good team.
Yeah, we were very good. And the name of our team the first year was Holland Ash from Mount St.
Helens.
And so that was fun. But then the guys from that team and I started to get together and thinking about putting together this run, and that's how it came together.
That's so cool.
Back in when I got in touch with my dad again, another war story, if you will. It's 1988. And I think her name's Kathleen Slinger here in town, always ran the LA Marathon. She ran it a bunch, and she got a dog from Kit as well. And I wanted to go to LA, and I wanted to see my aunt and my relatives and my grandmother. LA was the first part of March. Here, it's 30 degrees. In LA, it's warm.
Yeah, you're not acclimated yet.
I had no clue.
Oh, no.
But I thought, I'm running. I feel really good.
I'm fit. I'm going to go.
Yeah, I'm going to go to. So by mile, and every mile, there was like a big timing.
Oh, really?
Clock. Yeah,
okay.
Every mile.
Wow.
Like here, we would have one at a half marathon. And at the marathon ending. Yeah. But there was every mile.
Oh, wow. So you can really keep track of your pace.
Yeah. So I'm there. And I'm running, and I think it was the last year that they ran the 84 Olympic course.
Oh, wow.
I was really looking to do really well, and I felt good, and that's what killed me. I really felt good. But at mile 3, it was like 70.
Oh, no. And you're just not ready for that.
Mile 7, I crashed.
Really?
Yeah,
You must have been moving, sweating like crazy.
But I died.
Oh, no.
I ended up like about a 3:49. But I'm there, and I want to go to the award ceremonies. So 1988, and the winner at the time was, what's that car company? Oh, they were giving away 2 cars, one to the male and one to the female.
Oh.
And they have the little...
Subarus?
No, it'll come to me. And so I go to the award ceremony, and the guy that won it that year was from Eugene, and he wasn't there yet. So I walk in. I must have looked just like him, because I walked in and these Kenyans were over on the side, and they go, oh, and they start waving at me. And I'm like, me? Yeah, I'll come over. And so I go over.
And they think you're the guy that just won the marathon. Oh, my gosh.
And I said, you guys, you've got me mixed up with somebody else. It's not me. Trust me. I would know. But yeah, it was not me.
They were all super friendly.
Yeah. And then the real winner came in, and they looked at me. They looked at him.
Doppelgangers.
And I said, see? And so I start to get up, and they said, no, sit. And they called him over. And yeah, he was a nice guy from Eugene. What kind of a car is that? So I'm in collector's items there. I remember it's right on the back of my shirt, too. I'm Benz.
Oh, Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
wow.
were giving away 2 of those.
Oh, geez.
A male and a female. And I'd like to have been it, but was not me. So anyway, they were sitting, we're talking, and it was really fun. They give the guy...
Just hanging out with him?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and he giving him his cars. And
You're like, I'll take it.
But move forward to 1991, and I run Boston.
Again.
No, this is the first
This is that
time.
first time you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I needed to get that 88 because I ran well. I ran like a 250 something.
That's moving right along.
And I go to the award ceremony. And I walked in, and there were those Kenyans.
Oh, really?
And they waved me over, and we sat down and talked. And,
Just like best friends again.
yeah,
Oh, that's cool. And that was in Boston now.
yeah. Then we moved forward some more. 1998. I'm still running with those guys. Dave Knotts was the last guy I ran with, and he still lives here.
And this is the crew that you were running with at lunchtime?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dave Knotts, anyway, I wake up early in the morning, and I go, Kit, does my neck look swollen? And she goes, it does a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and run. I'm going to meet the guys at the Y, and
if something's not feeling right.
But if it doesn't bother me while I run, I'm not going to worry about it.
Did you feel it building up at that point, or just something came on all of a sudden?
Just felt stiff.
Interesting.
So I'm running with Dave, and I'm telling Dave about it, and tell him I'm going to go see the doctor, but this is what's happening. And Dave and I, we put in some 17, 18 miles.
Oh, some nice runs.
Yeah. And it's still not bothering me. And so I go to the doctor, and the doctor gives me some medicine that you take for 8 days, and it's supposed to work. And
some sort of a steroid or something.
And it would go down.
Reduce the inflammation.
Yeah. But it didn't go down. And it just got bigger. So I went back to him. He says, I'm going to have you see this ear, nose, and throat guy. I'm checked out.
And you're just working through the day, and you're doing your normal runs. And
yeah. At this time, I've left Payless or Skaggs. I mentioned to them, I'll go back to this point, but I mentioned to them that I want to retire. And they said, you can't retire. Yeah, I can. I've got 21 years in with you, but I just can't touch the money. So he gave us a list of things, and my last day was Thanksgiving, the day before. And that was another thing. They wanted all the staff to work on Sundays, which we never had, after Thanksgiving.
Okay. I was going to ask if something led up to this.
And that set me off. And I said, does my store get a choice? Sure. I said, okay, we'll have a meeting, and I'll leave it with them. And that's how I worked.
Well, they're giving you a choice.
And so I said, how many of you guys want to work the Sundays after? And they said, nobody does.
Yeah. So we're doing well already.
Yeah. We do the Zoom meeting, and he asked which stores, and mine was the only one that said they didn't want to open. And he said, in that case, then we'll get another crew to work your store. I said, no, that isn't not what you said.
Oh, wow.
You said we had a choice.
And now he's threatening to basically clean out your crew.
Yeah. And I said, if you're going to bring it that way, then I will go back. So I went back and told them what was presented, and they were pissed, as
I'm
well
sure
as I was. But we all worked the Sundays. He would come into the stores and make sure we were. And he would come in, and I think he just wanted to irk us.
And this is the same district manager that was causing issues before.
Yeah, and he would make a list. So the list was just honeydew items.
He's just trying to keep you busy.
Yeah. And so what I did is I brought on somebody extra that when he was making the list, we were doing it.
Just getting it knocked out.
Yeah. And so when he left, it was done.
How'd he take that?
He
come back with another list?
Yeah, he didn't. But yeah, he did. But It just wasn't right.
Yeah.
When the time came, I said, I'm going to retire. And he said, you can't. And I said, I can.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't touch the money.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, I'd been working on learning what I could learn from the running industry and
just from business in general, everything that you've seen and the stores you've touched and the different places you've gone, you had to have learned a ton.
I did. But you can always keep learning.
Oh, absolutely. So you would just basically put in your retirement and told them you're pretty much done.
So I bought a franchise, had some help from family.
What made you decide to do that?
Running.
You were just at this point where you've been running and you've learned enough about business. You thought, you know what, this is an opportunity here.
Right.
Okay.
So for 10 years, I was with the Athlete's Foot. And from 1997 is when I opened up the store. And
did you take time off between, or did you go from when you put in your notice and you left, you already decided to put this plan together?
Already put it in. And I had a partner at the time.
Okay, interesting.
And he took care of the team thing, and I took care of the store thing.
And you opened up this Athlete's Foot.
And it was a little bitty place. Golly, it was small. And matter of fact, one day of business, I had 3 employees, but my slowest day was $8.89.
Oh my gosh.
For being open.
Wow. That's got to be scary, putting everything that you have into this and opening this store. Are you doing your own advertising and marketing too?
Doing everything.
Wow.
And
how did you learn about what stuff to stock and what the suppliers were? I guess you would have learned that dealing with Payless.
Right.
You're dealing. Okay.
When I was with Payless, I had the sock area.
Okay. Oh, so you were starting to make some connections.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I knew a lot of those, but with the sock world, you never have enough.
No such thing as too many socks.
And I had apparel in the store that I had with Payless, so I knew about that.
And running's playing a more and more integral role in your life already?
It is.
So you have this $8 and what was it? 36 cents?
89-cent day.
That's crazy.
Yeah. You think to yourself, God, it's got to pick up. And then things started to roll.
Was there something that happened or just?
I have not a clue.
Huh. Interesting.
But in 1997, we opened it in February. And in 1999, I got cancer.
Oh my gosh.
And at the time, we were sponsoring a lot of events.
So this happens while you're running your store now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I would have my radiation and chemo in the morning, and then I'd be home in the afternoon. And to this day, I probably got 8 or 9 binders full of letters from people.
Oh, wow.
In this town that just
reaching out and letting you know that they're thinking about you.
Yeah, the stories, you can see the Capitol building.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I was with Skaggs downtown, the governor at the time, Andrus, would come down and get his shotgun shells from us. Or I would deliver shotgun shells to a dentist here in town. You do a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And
you've had all these different opportunities.
And learning.
Yeah. With your cancer, it was in your throat? Or
it was squamous cell carcinoma.
Okay.
It was invasive, and it was attached to my jugular vein.
Oh, my goodness.
And my trapezius muscle.
Oh, my gosh.
So part of that's all taken care of. And I think it was 87 rounds of radiation, 5 rounds of chemo.
What are you thinking at this point?
No.
Are you fearful for your life, I would assume? Or are you feeling like, I'm going to get through this?
I really didn't know what to think.
Just one day at a time.
Yeah, you really just, I leaned on it more toward running. You know, it's not like a 5K race where you can run, and if you don't do very well, you can always run another one 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later. But this is the whole shebang.
Oh, yeah. Suddenly things would look so different.
I remember I had a watch. And when they told me I had cancer, I remember driving from St. Luke's down to the store, and I pulled over and just was crying. And I said, God, you never really reach out to God until you're in trouble.
That's a good point.
Perfect example is when he was walking on the water and they're in the boat. There are more worried about where they're at instead of what's coming. And I remember I couldn't fathom.
You're putting everything you have into your faith at that point that things are going to be okay.
And I got 2 kids, a wife that is putting up with this. With my life, it's been like a KTEL commercial, but wait, there's more. I remember I got back to the store and I couldn't find my watch. And I had it when I left, and I looked through my pants. We had tacky jeans, and I looked through everything, couldn't find it. And then finally, maybe 3 weeks later, when they went in and they took the biopsy, and I had this, zipper in my neck. I was walking into the store for the first time after that. I said, God, I promise you I won't time you anymore. And I reached in my pocket, and there was that watch.
Wow.
And that watch I still have. It's in my desk at home.
That's your reminder to never going to time life.
Yeah. So 87 rounds of radiation, 5 rounds of chemo. And we're talking 2001. I've ran a couple marathons since then.
And you fully recovered and got through this now.
Have no spit because of the saliva is gone from the radiation. And it's 2001. My wife and I, we go to Portland, and we're going to run the Portland Marathon. Now, 9/11 has just happened, and it was a real moving ceremony. And I'm up toward the front. And I remember another friend of mine was here at the time, Paul Johnson. He came up and ran it, and I'm running well.
And this is after you've gone through the cancer treatment and everything.
I'm running really well. I didn't think I would run this well again, so I'm running like about a 2:45, 2:50.
Oh, wow.
And the weird thing about Portland at that time is that the train
crosses the route?
Yeah. And sometimes it would stop you.
I was going to say, you could lose some time.
In our case, we beat it.
Oh, geez.
And so we're just cruising right along. And I think I'm probably in, maybe 20th place and running pretty well. This was going to be since having cancer, coming back. Ran Twin Cities and ran a 3:01 there.
That's still a great run.
But here was a different thing. And we were running really well. Matter of fact, the day before, Roy Benson, the heart rate monitor guy for this company, which I'd brought to Boise a couple of times, took me out on some speed work the day before the marathon.
Oh, jeez.
I'm an idiot. And so I ran that with him and felt okay, and then ran all the way to the room. Told the kid, I said, I should not have done that.
This might have been a bad idea.
But Portland, 2001, mile 21. And they have Power Bar as the goo.
Okay.
And I was happy with that.
Now, you said you can't really make saliva,
so
what are you doing to...
There was no water stop at mile 21 where the goo was.
Oh, no.
So this little boy, he saw me bent over. Meanwhile, people are passing me.
Oh, no, you're having a great race and can't get that down?
And I can't get it down, and I'm starting to gag. And this little boy goes, Mister, and he hands me a little, like a communion cup full of water. And I said, oh, man, thank you.
It's the best cup of water you've ever had.
So I drink that. Meanwhile, these people are passing me. Then I happen to see a Clydesdale, 3 of them. And it was a drizzly day, and it was windy, but they were breaking the wind for this guy that was running. Maybe it was 19 or 20, but right around in there. But the water stop originally was like another mile down the thing.
It's crazy they don't have them set there together.
They do now, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing them, and I saw them before. But there's a different group of 3 guys. But they were big guys, and they were moving. And so I thought, man, so I jumped right in with that group.
Yeah.
And then another group came on, and they were helping this guy. And about mile 24, I'd picked up a lot of the people that had passed me.
Oh, jeez.
And then left them and ended up 16th overall. Ran a 2:53 or 2:52. Or
you just had to have been on top of the world.
But I was, and it was just phenomenal.
Yeah, you had mentioned that this was your most, I think you said your most memorable, your favorite marathon that you've ran.
It is, because the timing, 2001, 9/11, and that kid, I swear to God, if I had my jersey, I would have given it to that kid.
Saved your race.
Yeah. And I've ran several others, but that one.
Just right time and everything just happened to fall into place.
Right. Then we went back in 2004. And I didn't do as well, which I celebrated a little bit too much. But
might have been a little dehydrated.
Yeah. But still ran okay. But that was just...
That's got to be a hell of a celebration.
Yeah.
Celebration of what you've made it through. And so you do these marathons and you're still dealing with athlete's foot?
I am at that point. And then...
Everything's going well?
Yeah, starting to. During the time of this, there still is an event, the Payette Lake Run. And you would go there, and if you ran all the way around the lake, just add an hour to it, and that would be your Portland time.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of people would do that and run that event. And
interesting.
that was another place that they had good prizes there. Nice sunglasses if you won. And
get some good swag.
Yeah. And I got to be good friends with a lot of the race directors, and it was fun to be a part of that. And one race was you could decorate, you could be salt and pepper, and the two of you would run, and that group got hats, matching beanies, for example. It was fun.
You're having fun with it.
I remember the one Le Bois run, we had this guy named Charles. He was always last. And you couldn't do the awards until everybody
got through.
Well, he would always come in. Tim Sever helped me a lot with that race.
Okay.
And helped me set up the course.
What did it mean to you doing all that? Because over the years, you've been involved with so many different runs and so many different races, which actually leads in through your careers. You're going through Athlete's Foot and you're becoming more and more involved in the scene.
We were a little, like I said, a little bitty thing, but we did a lot of good stuff.
Very involved with the community.
Yeah. And I was paying Athlete's Foot so much money, and they weren't holding up their end of the bargain. If you go to a restaurant, you order a steak, you get a steak.
Right.
Okay. They were saying that they were going to give me a steak.
And they're not giving you a steak.
Like if I got a salad.
So are you bound by the rules that they operate under, even though you're operating your store?
Right.
Okay. So it sounds like you're starting to build some tension here with them.
And we were thinking at 2008, Runner's World got wind of us. And we were voted #1 store in the Northwest.
Oh, wow.
And then...
What do you think you were doing different?
We're giving more to the community. When you're... And I found this out working in the corporate world, whether it be Payless, Skaggs, whatever, you would get the store ready for your dean who would be in your store maybe 20 minutes and really not even want to be there. He was just doing
checking the box.
Yeah, checking a box. Which you should have that store ready for the most important person that comes in the store. And that's the customer. Turned it that direction.
Everything you're doing is customer first.
And I can't remember when they started at us, but I decided when we were 10 years into it, probably 2007, that we were going to change the name.
And you're getting all these accolades and getting recognized and okay.
And so we changed the name, I think in 2008. And
this is when you changed it to Shoes Idaho Running Company.
And so now instead of putting all that money into the franchise, and let me back up. Another reason we did this is they opened up a store on us.
Another Athlete's Foot?
Yeah, in Eagle. And meanwhile, I'm thinking why this guy I'm introducing him to, like the people at Roby, these other runs, that maybe they would want me over the other guys. And at the same time, I was moving my store to
a bigger location.
Yeah.
And they didn't tell you anything about this?
They didn't tell me anything about that. And that while they were supposedly to be here helping me open up the store that
you're moving to now,
they were there.
Huh.
So we changed the name.
And they were okay with this?
No, they weren't okay with it. Matter of fact, 2009, when we got that, they were going to give me the accolades from the athlete's foot, the same thing that they should have been doing all along. Then they sued me.
Athlete's foot sued you.
And it was like a David and Goliath thing.
I can only imagine.
I mean, they have 3 million.
Yeah. Unlimited resources.
I started with one attorney and then went to 3 attorneys.
Oh my gosh. And while you're doing it, you're trying to grow and build the new brand. Holy moly. I can only imagine the stress that you're under.
It was not pretty. Meanwhile, from 2004, I met a friend. Her name is Leone. And we started running together. I started coaching her. She started winning. I didn't. And she
living vicariously, or winning vicariously through her.
And I don't type. She does. And I would be on the phone because one of the things was we had to have certain things taken out of the store and off the internet. Once it's on the internet,
lives forever. Yeah. Hard to make that disappear.
Oh, man. And they were pushing that. And she would be on the phone in Meridian, and I'd be on my phone in Boise, and I'd be talking, and she'd be typing. And she would be
trying to keep track of everything and keep it all together.
And she would help me find these places on the internet, and she wasn't working for me.
Just helping out? Oh, wow.
In 2008, maybe even after that, I hired her. And then they dropped everything.
Oh, they did?
After so much time. I remember I'm not able to say too much about it.
Oh, sure. But, yeah, I can imagine. But fortunately, it came to a resolution.
Yeah.
And obviously, you were able to continue on with your store.
And at the time, I had maybe 16 employees. And it was tough.
What does it mean to you to have such support by not just the employees that you had, but by the community too? Yeah. I assume everybody's rallying around.
I'm getting a lot of help.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. When Skaggs moved me back here, or Payless moved me back here to Boise, they never should have. I'm home.
Yeah. They never knew what was to come.
No. To talk about that, they offered me a store, their number one store in Missouri, Springfield, Missouri. And I told them no.
Why not?
My daughter had some medical things going on, and she was really doing well, and Boise's home, and my family and support.
So this was, you already had your store at this point, and they wanted you to come back and become involved again?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They did, but not during this time.
Okay.
They wanted me to go to Springfield, Missouri, once I had my store on Franklin.
Okay.
And I said no. And then they wanted me to go to Klamath Falls, Oregon. They have 2 stores there, and they wanted to put me in the older one. And so
you're obviously doing a great job if they keep wanting to send you store to store.
And then they wanted to send me to San Diego, and I said no. He said, well, you know what this is going to do? We're going to stop asking.
Yeah, it's going to limit your options.
Then do it. So then they pulled me out of the store, and then I was remodeling stores for them. So you
had all kinds of experience then in retail, so you weren't a stranger to it.
No.
Which kind of leads up to where now you're having your own store and you're building your own brand that way. And I believe it was 2011 you won number one store in the nation.
Yeah, in 2009 was the Northwest.
Okay.
2010 it was with Runner's World in the nation.
That's the one I'd seen.
2011 it was with the running event, which is the big enchilada. And again, couldn't have done it
without all the support that you had.
Right.
What does it mean to you to be where you're at now and have gone through the difficulties that you did? Would you call that your dream that you would hope to achieve, having your own store at that point?
I think that's part of it. They came back and tried to get me to go. Mm-hmm. Mr. Skaggs at that time had moved to Eagle, Idaho. And he's recently died, but I don't know if he knew that I was still here or not, but somebody from Albertsons had wanted me to come and be a liaison and work.
Turn things around for him.
2 months or whatever. And I said no.
Well, I think things have worked out pretty well. You had success with getting through the lawsuit. You've conquered cancer. Is there anything left on your bucket list that you would like to, that you want to accomplish?
Well, the cancer thing is big. I think I'm a walking testimony that God's not finished with yet.
Apparently, yeah.
Because I was running, and this is coming from somebody that just had both knees replaced. And I picked my surgeon out by Google. Yeah, I'm learning.
the magic of
I'm
Google.
learning stuff. But there were 27 surgeons in the United States that would allow you to run after you had your knees done. And one of them was Poole, and he was right here in Boise.
He's a great surgeon.
And I was thrilled to get him. He helped me out insurance-wise. I was going to have one knee done in December and the other one in March, but then that means I would have had to pay the
deductibles twice.
He said, let's do this. You get in the best shape you can be in by March. We'll do one in March and one in June. So I trained for a marathon.
Like you were training for your life.
And Kit went with me, and I finished it poorly, but I finished it and then had the knees done. Lastly, I was running 3 years ago, and I was running with my dogs. And this was both knees being done. I'd ran 4 weeks after the first one being done and 4 weeks after the second one being done.
Holy moly.
And for those of you that are having that done, have your PT guy come to your house.
Simplifies it a little bit.
Yeah, it really does. And they busted my butt, but then I busted my butt because instead of just doing it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I was doing it Monday through Sunday and doing it morning and night. So
you're no stranger to hard work.
Yeah, doing it 2 a days. And anyway, I was running, and I just ran the best 6 miles that I'd ran since the knees were being done. It wasn't fast, but it felt good.
Felt like things were just
I had both my dogs with me, and I walked across Maple Grove. Didn't feel quite right. And I fed my dogs and went in to take a shower. Then I was going to go to the store. Leona is running the store for me while I was having my knees done. Yes, I'm paying her now.
She's getting her paycheck.
She is. And I couldn't move my right hand. And what had happened, and periodically all these times I was running with Leon, I was getting slower, and my carotid arteries were plugging up. And they finally, both of them plugged up, and it caused me to have a stroke.
Oh, my God.
So And
you're feeling this after this run?
After the run.
Are you home alone? Is Kit there?
No, Kit's in Maui, and she's on her way back. It's during the COVID. I was supposed to go over there and meet her there, but it didn't happen. So I decided I was going to get a base for a marathon going, and boy, did I have it. And I got home, and I felt my words were slurring. So I went to the store and said, Leon, do I sound different?
Are you feeling okay
I feel
for the most
fine
part?
right now.
Okay.
At the time. And she goes, you sound a little different. And I said, I got a doctor's appointment, Zoom. I'll finish what I'm going to do here, and then I'll go on home. So I went home and went through the doctor's thing. And then right at the end of it, I said, let me tell you something that happened to me. And he said, call your family doctor and get to St. Luke's.
Right away.
Yeah. Now, I figured people are overreacting. So
because you're feeling okay at this point.
So I get up the next morning. I'm feeling fine. I run the exact same route, have the exact same result. And I go to the store, and Leon says, hey, you sound better. And I said, yeah, but
something's not right.
Yeah. And I'm going to pick up Kit at the airport Sunday. So I'll mention it to her. So I go to the airport, and I pick her up, and I tell her about it. She says, did you get hold of your doctor? And I said, no, he's in McCall, but he's going to call me. And then he called me that night, and he says, yeah, get
to the hospital.
Yeah, we need to get you checked out. And so the rest is history.
And you had a stroke.
Yeah.
So you've been through cancer, a stroke, knee replacement.
MRSA.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. So what is it that gets you out the door every day then? What still makes you want to get up, go out, run?
The surgeries have not gone all that great. The stent didn't even last a week. But
oh, my God.
It's not the heart. The heart's in good shape. It's the carotids are clogged.
So are you still dealing with this now today?
Right.
Oh my gosh.
The vein that they took out of my arm didn't work for about 3 months in the neck, but then it clogged.
This might just show my ignorance. Is there a reason why you would consistently get a clog like this? No idea?
No.
Wow.
I don't have a heart problem. I don't have vein problem. The only thing that clogged these up, or the carotids, were the radiation.
Okay. So what can you do now to
Well, they can take
deal
the
with
vein
it?
and they can come back across, but I'm doing quite well. From the surgery, they're saying, you asked me what motivates me.
Yeah.
The veins, the main ones, are blocked, but the small ones in the back are expanding.
To compensate?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're thinking it's all because I run.
Really?
So, yeah. So I got a streak going for like 3.5 years where I may not want to get out and run.
But you do it every day?
Every day.
That's a heck of a streak. I'm not to where you were at. I had a 470 days or so streak. And actually just this week, I lost my streak because of dealing with sciatica. And it was one of those things where it's, no matter what, even if you don't feel like it, you never have a bad run. I mean,
no, some are better than others.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. At the store we had at Shoes, we would have these events that would come. And one year we had Bill Rogers.
Oh,
Bill
geez.
Rogers has been here 3 times, once just for me to help raise money for cancer.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. We had Frank Schroeder here for the Onward Shea run, and Bill.
Oh my gosh. The impact that you've had is massive.
You never say never. The only limits are the ones that you put on yourself.
It's a great point.
There's going to be a time where then I'm not going to be able to run. But there's never going to be a time then I'm not going to be able to move.
Yeah.
Or make something happen.
Some sort of progress.
Right.
Keep yourself moving forward. Do you think that maybe some of this came from when you were 16 and having to figure things out that you never really, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe you didn't really have time to worry about whether or not it might work. You had a goal and you were just going to do it because there was no other option.
Yeah. But I think I would like to say this is a Mike thing. It's not a Mike thing. This is a God thing.
Your work's not done.
Yeah. I have a saying, I used to say it all the time when I left the store. Keep running and we'll smile at you soon.
I love that.
Yeah.
You've got a great smile, and it's awesome that you're always willing to share it.
Now, though.
No, it's awesome that you're always willing to share it. Well, Mike, is there anything else that you would like to touch on before I ask a couple final questions?
No.
So the questions that I have are, what would you tell somebody who is going through a difficult time right now and might not know how to deal with the difficult times? What advice would you give them to make it through?
Maybe this happens more as you get older, but don't take your eyes off God. You may think you have control, but every morning when I get up for a run and I'll be looking at the sunrise, oh my God, the sunrises lately are just, God has his own box of crayons, folks. And he did pretty good in 7 days. What makes you think he's not going to be able to take care of you? And that's big stuff.
Yes,
you know?
it is. Well, it sounds like your faith has definitely gotten you through some extremely difficult times.
Not to say that I haven't made my mistakes. Holy cow. But I read this book, Lucado's book, Max Lucado. He says, when you see a sunrise or a sunset and it takes your breath away, God's looking at you and he's saying, you know what? I did that just for you. And that's good stuff.
And embrace that moment.
Yeah, embrace it.
I love that. Then let me ask this one last question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what you think about legacy, and what is the legacy that you hope people remember you by?
As many times as I've probably turned my back on God, that he's never turned his back on me. And that's something that, yeah, I want to leave that to my kids, my grandkids, that it's not a Mike thing. It's not a Mike world. This is a God thing.
I can believe that, and it seems like everything that you've done throughout your life,
Yeah,
it is with everybody close to your heart, taking care of everyone around you. And it truly shows that it's bigger than one person.
Yeah, it's much. Some people will have their own beliefs, do that. But I feel like more times than not, I'm in the boat instead of Peter. And Christ saying, take my hand. You take his hand and you're up. But what happened the minute he started to look at the waves? He sunk. Ah, man, I'm no different than Peter. Although this time around, I'm not taking my eyes off of him. So I'll run, I'll pray, and I'm just going to hang on.
I think that's great. Yeah. Great way to end is you got to hang on. You have to stick with it.
Yeah, you can't stop. Yeah.
I love that. Mike, thank you so much for taking this time to sit down and chat with me. I really appreciate it. And any other last words for anybody listening that you would like to impart?
Keep moving.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. All right, Mike, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much to Mike for his willingness to sit down and share his inspiring story, and a sincere thank you to each and every one of you, my dear listeners, for sharing your time and listening to this episode. Mike's journey is a testament to the power of perseverance, faith, and the support of loved ones in an absolutely incredible running community. You are all the reason why this podcast exists. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, review the podcast on whatever platform you use to digest this content, and please follow the Run from the Norm Facebook page for updates on new podcast releases. Your feedback helps us reach more people and continue to share even more incredible stories. As a reminder, our mission with this podcast is to motivate with compassion, listen without judgment, inspire with curiosity, one person at a time. I hope we have succeeded. Thanks again for listening, and please remain curious, keep moving forward, and most importantly, get outside and run from the norm.
Check that mic, make sure it sound right, boy.